hoping to get her to look up for you. Oh, well. So wonderful. Okay, friends. Another journal for you. Look this way, kitty. Oh, she's so pretty. Okay, another journal for you. This one is from the 17th, the first one of that day, and it's the shifting basis for belief, internal evidence for truth, and incrementalism. I've gotten so many journals written that are not yet recorded that I thought maybe today I'd go without journaling. Not to be so. Oh. Okay. Oh well, so be it. This is such a joy to do, so there'll just be one more in the line. Pardon me as I readjust here if I, push the wrong buttons all the time. The way it's mirrored, that just kind of flows along with how life is, mirrored. Okay, so what's the topic? Heaven knows. At this point, I don't. I've got a rather small community of subscribers, perhaps, but I have fun giving them plenty to keep their mind pretzeled. Over 1,000 journals online. Surprises even me sometimes. Now, not that numbers are anything. Just to use one wonderful example out of so many, look at Gandhi. One man or one being on the side of truth, better than an army. If the idea's time has come. Such a tiny, frail little guy, but oh my, truth packs a punch. Eventually, the whole British Army and occupation had to say die and give up ruling India. Well, they gave up overtly. I don't guess we can really trust that either. Trust nothing. It's the wiser way. Nothing external, that is. What I see acting in me, I trust is acting in many. And that is that I'm pulling all trust out of even friendly, supposedly trustworthy things and people. But wait a minute. It's not that I no longer believe or trust anything anyone says. It's not that. Instead, it's important to me to trust only what my heart or inner being resonates with. It used to be that we were loyal to people. We'd be able to give someone a good idea of our beliefs by telling them what teachers or writers we trusted. And when we trusted them, we'd generally accept pretty much all they'd say, unless it really went against the grain in us. So I could have said Mooji, Adyashanti, Byron Katie, Papa G, a few more like that, and you'd have a pretty good bead on what I believe. Now, I don't know. I guess it's still a fairly reliable list, but I'm including in my list these days some that say some things I truly don't believe or accept. Once I was much more of a purist. If I caught someone out saying something that wasn't so, she'd be off my list in a hurry. Now, well, things have just changed. Now I'm more loyal to the truth than to the person. Maybe that's it. There's so much less fear in me these days, and I have found that that's what was largely behind my not trusting before. That and the fact that I was less able to discern, less in contact with my own inner knowing. When fear goes, so many things change, things you just wouldn't think of, like who you trust. There's something new going on inside that makes me more able to spot truth or its absence. Some people are so empty, so absent somehow that even if the words coming out of their lips were true, they wouldn't be true. Truth isn't just in any words. It's much deeper than that. And truth is independent. It can come through anyone or anything, and you'll know it by the feel of it. It's like some new inner sense has come or is coming awake. That's how this feels. Now, it's really great, of course. Life is much less restricted now. I feel I can relax more, being more able to discern truth for myself. I don't have to rely so much anymore on those that speak the truth, on others to do my thinking for me and give me my truth. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going through this. We used to look up to people, to heroes, much more. That seems to have largely faded away, at least among the awakening community. We were much simpler then and probably more asleep, much more trusting overall. God, when I look back at the levels of trust I vested in things, I was so red, white, and blue, joined the military, my family's got a history of that. We really believed in these things. We really felt the government had our best interests at heart, in the military, and the schools, and the media, and all the rest of it. Even today, if you say something to someone, they want you to back it up with who else said it first and believes it to be so. Novel ideas are not warmly welcomed. Well, that's fine, I guess. It's certainly not new. I'm just not into looking up and providing citations, chapter and verse, for things so that I can prove it's a legitimate idea. Screw that. Science and academia overall is pretty hung up on such things. It makes you want to shake them at times and say, hey, did you guys ever have an original thought? Not given to you by some authority or another? And what makes them such authorities anyway? Did they have a more direct line to God than you do? I don't think so. Original thought is simply punished in science. Well, there's a shift going on. And if science doesn't catch on to it, it could slide into obscurity pretty soon. The new age that's coming will be one in which each one truly thinks for his or herself, him or herself. It won't garner you any points then to cite all the great thinkers that had your thoughts before you did, even if you used it in a new and novel way. Reliance on others in general, it's slipping away, at least in me. That's what I see. There is a new confidence coming around, helping us all stand taller somehow in our own central truth. When you speak with authority, it won't come from citations anymore. It will come from the authenticity of your own life's experience, what you've directly experienced of reality. That's what we'll be sharing. And people will just know. We'll be able to read it in one another. Now, you won't be right all the time, but hey, look back. Has anyone ever been always right? If so, tell me who. I want to look up that one and study her words. There will be so hugely less fear, maybe even none, that it will make people different somehow. And we just don't realize today how much of what seems normal is really just the product of living in a fear-laden society. And that's sad. We've got to get more distance on our subject, what we're looking at, in order to step back and get a clearer view. Today, we're still far too identified with the body and things of 3D. We vest so much interest in it that it fills up all our view, and it's too close besides. We're not very good at seeing the context of things. For that, we've got to step up or step back a good bit. Really, it will enhance the view. in spite of how strange it may seem now. We've been taken far too deeply into specialization for such a long time. If you didn't specialize in your field, you didn't get the good jobs. There were others willing to spend their whole energy and attention getting down into the nitty-gritty detail and learning new things in this topic or that. And if you weren't willing to do this, well, you just couldn't keep up. Been a long time since anybody was hiring generalists. Same with education. What we didn't see was the way we'd been led down the wrong rabbit hole with all that separating things out into such fine detail. Now, sure, quantum physics came out of it, and for that I'm truly grateful. But overall, I'd say we've been led astray by pulling things so far apart and not keeping any balance around that. We just don't see how things are and work as a harmonious whole anymore. Not very well, anyway. We were so intent on identifying, then extracting, and then chemically imitating the holy grail for science, the active ingredient, that we lost sight of the synergy that was the whole picture. All of this is largely driven by money. Since you couldn't patent something natural, the rush was on to be the first to synthesize it. It's ugly behind the scenes, folks. It's all about money. What we lost sight of, too, was the whole point of the thing, to bring healing or wholeness. That got lost so early on in the rush to profit and wealth. The patient or the consumer was pushed to the side as being incidental in your ability to expand your income, influence, or company. It's been a very long time since the health of the patient was the medical goal. Just alleviate the symptoms and send them home. This comes of tunnel vision, getting so far down into the minutia that the overall picture gets lost. It's not lost, it's just out of focus. It makes me so very glad that this day and this way are very soon to be the dinosaurs of the 20th century. They're being seen through more and more by more and more people who are speaking up. We're through with the short-sightedness that we've been lost within. Passing budgets guaranteed to put our descendants in a hole no one could dig out of, without a care or even a seeming awareness of such consequences. It's really bizarre. And the same with genetically modifying everything in sight. Living populations are now GMO guinea pigs. Do you realize that the whole genome thing was based on people believing they could get rich on the outcome? If we want to find out what's truly wrong with the world, follow the money. It has been used simply everywhere and in everything to pervert and pollute a whole world, and it has done so thoroughly. Why were we blind to this before? I don't know. It doesn't matter so much, though. What matters is that we wake up to it now and stop trusting. Kismet, Kismet, come here, puppy. That kitty is not playing. Poor little dog, he wants a playmate so bad. Okay, we need to stop trusting. No one and nothing is worth your trust but your own heart and prime creator. But to find out what she has to say on things, once again, it's to heart we must go. Okay, I guess the idea or ideas shared here are pretty simple overall. So many of us are so burdened with what we're starting to see all around, the graft, the disgusting greed, and no truth to be found. It can tend to get you down. Well, let's not go there. Let's simply refuse. I do believe very much in staying in the now here. Still, part of what's included in that is the consequences that spring from what is done with the now. In other words, the future is somehow included in the now. Actually, our own future is also impacting our now. We're used to thinking that the past creates the present, but so does the future. Time being really simultaneous, that means the future is with us all the time. And in some way, we're even aware of it. It reaches out to inform us somehow. We may not know quite how, but just becoming aware that it does will help us tune in. Everything pretty much happens in small increments. We've been schooled in overlooking the power of the small. Now, perhaps in one way, this terrible mess the world is in currently came on us to highlight incrementalism and the power of that. After all, this is the way we have watched things slowly get taken over. Each small increment of change proposed and implemented by the powers that were, who were then the powers that be, was so small as to make opposing it seem a silly waste of time. In less than a century of this, though the planners likely started out thousands of years ago, we finally see the awful result. Many small changes or one big one, the result is no different. So, just so does incremental change accomplish the big things if left unopposed. So, for each and every one of us, perhaps now is the time to at least begin to notice. Remember the power of vision, just noticing things is doing. To at least notice that I lost my place. The terrible, far-reaching creep of the incremental change. Let's begin to notice that how this is used as a weapon, as a strategy to accomplish some very dark aims, and be alert to it. For now, it seems this is all we can do. I, for one, don't have an answer yet on how to win out over it. At the very least, it will require a good deal of stepping back and looking to the overall picture of things. We'll have to be more astute students of true history, not the pap that goes by that name in schools. I won't bore or depress you by listing the endless things, negative things accomplished in this way. Just look around. You'll see. As we sensitize ourselves to this new view, the one that includes awareness of how deadly things can be brought about by small changes over time, what we're looking at seems to subtly change. We see new things we wouldn't have noticed before now that we're aware of it. Give it a try. As you do so, notice how what you know, how you believe, truly changes what you see.